Welcome to Modern Farm Business Podcast. This podcast is designed to help the farm leader bring their business to the next level. We'll cover everything from leadership and finance to strategy and planning. I'm your host, Dean Hefta. The past few episodes, we've been talking about the people aspect of the farm, and today we're going to move just outside the operation to some of the relationships that we have that are really important to us and to the success of our farm. You know, in farming, we have some challenges, and really anybody that's in business has these challenges, and that is there's this tension, this source of potential frustration where our business meets people outside of our business. So, for example, on the farm, we have a couple of areas. We have suppliers that are working to sell goods and services to us, and they're trying to stay in business and watch their bottom line. And we, in running our farm, is trying to do the best we can to keep costs low and to keep profit maintained. And so there becomes this tension of I'm trying to buy low and they're trying to sell high, and sometimes it can become almost antagonistic. And over on the other side, we've got a landlord over here that wants to get paid as much as they can for their land, but they also want it taken care of. And we know that we need their resource for our business to grow more cattle or more grain, whatever it is that we're growing. And so you have these relationships that have to be invested in and managed. And what we want is really to have those relationships be thriving and long-standing and trusting and healthy. But then we feel this pull to the bottom. And really with the internet today and how shopping has changed, so much information is available to find out specifically about things like price. We see this giant pull to the bottom, this race to the bottom of what's the cheapest flight that I can buy, where's the cheapest gas that I can get. And we begin measuring only one variable. But we know that in business and on the farm, a lot of the things that we buy and a lot of the things that we do require a lot more measurement and more things that we value than just price. Now, there are things that simply are a commodity, and it is just about what's the lowest price that I can get. There isn't anything in addition to that I can get. But on a lot of the key areas of our operation, we recognize the low price might not necessarily be the low cost, and that there are consequences to every purchase decision that I make and where I buy things and from whom that I buy things. And there's always this pull to like, oh man, you know, if you're like me, it's like, I want to get it cheaper, but yet I want it good. And this, it really isn't that new of a thing. It reminds me, John Ruskin, a writer and thinker from the late 1800s, I want to share this with you. This is what he said in the late 1800s. He said, it's unwise to pay too much, but it's worse to pay too little. When you pay too much, you lose a little money. That's all. When you pay too little, you sometimes lose everything because the thing you bought was incapable of doing the thing it was bought to do. The common law of business balance prohibits paying a little and getting a lot. It can't be done. If you deal with the lowest bidder, it is well to add something for the risk you run. And if you do that, you'll have enough to pay for something better. I think that's sound advice. And so when we step back and maybe detach ourselves from this race to the bottom that the internet has brought us and really look at what is it that our farm needs? Where is our farm going? What is it, the kind of business environment we're wanting to create? It makes me think about Stephen Covey, the author of 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, where he would refer to one of his habits that we're talking about or that we're seeking as that of a win-win relationship. A relationship where both us, the buyer, the farmer, wins. We're getting value. And the provider, our supplier, is winning because they're able to do what they do at a profitable level so they can be there for the long haul. So both sides of the equation feel like they have won. Now, Stephen Covey says there are some things that we need to have in our arsenal to have a win-win relationship. The first is the right attitude. I have to have an attitude that seeks a win-win relationship. I need to have a cooperative view rather than a competitive one. A view that we're going to be better together. We're both bringing things to the table rather than competing for one of us to win and the other to lose. And I also recognize that when we look at the farm, not every area needs to be a high-value, win-win type relationship. As a farm leader, it's figuring out which of the 100 things that I'm making decisions on the farm are really going to benefit me and the operation to have high-value, high-quality relationships. But the key to this is making sure that I'm becoming deliberate about the type of relationships and the type of people that I am working with, rather than getting them by accident or by convenience or proximity. So I suggest breaking this into 2 areas to become intentional about our supplier relationships. First is checking ourselves in our own mindset, going back to what Stephen Covey said. We need to understand who we are and where we are, what our attitude is towards a relationship. And I think of this in a relationship mindset continuum. All of us will fall somewhere on this continuum from one end to another. On one end, it is a mindset of full abundance, a belief that, there's so much to go around and you just build great relationships, great things are going to happen. And on the other end is that one of scarcity, where this is a fixed-sized pie, there is a zero-sum game, and if you're winning, I must be losing. And so for me to win, I'm going to have to get you to lose. Now, either of those mindsets have their place, but both of them can be taken too far. And when they're taken too far, they can really lead to problems. So I think about a scarcity mindset that's playing out on the world stage right now. North Korea has built an economy around that of scarcity. They have detached themselves. They're called the Hermit Kingdom. They've detached themselves from the world. And that's led them to having a terrible economy, paranoia, all kinds of crazy thinking and acting when it comes to the world stage. And so that's from a scarcity mindset. Now, from the business standpoint, you can also see where people have been so casual with their view on the cost side of the ledger, they end up hurting themselves because the benefit of the relationship doesn't overcome the cost. And so these things have to be kept in balance. There is an art to this as the business leader. But we need to know where we are and who we are and what we're seeking. That's our mindset. The second is looking at impact. Like I mentioned, there's 100 areas that if we wanted to get into and evaluate, we could. But what we need to do is recognize there are some of these areas of the farm where I can't afford to buy from the low-cost provider. They're too important. There's too much to be gained by having the best supplier that I can find. And there's other areas where, I can't afford to try to build some great relationship because even the best person in that business, it's not going to make a difference to my business. When I teach people that are new to agriculture about the number of relationships and decisions a farmer has to deal with, they're absolutely amazed. There are so many opportunities to deal with different relationships. You really have to evaluate where is going to be the greatest impact that I'm going to be able to have on the farm by having the right people and paying for the right people versus making sure that all I need is the best price that I can find, regardless of the impact beyond that. I just need the low price. There's a place for both of those decisions on the farm. Because there's a saying, if everything is important, then nothing is important. If we say every decision carries all of this weight, we will miss opportunities to do the few critical things right. We have to really determine where is our effort and attention going to matter. Too often I've witnessed farmers spending what seems like hundreds of hours trying to find out where they can get Roundup 50 cents cheaper and save another 5 cents on diesel, while ignoring the extra 10 cents that the elevator didn't need to charge them on their grain, and ignoring a key landlord relationship that ends up leaving because it wasn't invested in. Recognizing impact areas will help us to leverage our time and effort to say, where are we really going to be able to move the farm forward with our limited time? Alfred Monapert said, "Don't confuse motion with progress. A rocking horse keeps moving but doesn't make progress." Sometimes we feel good about making a deal, but that deal didn't make a difference. Evaluate impact. So, in your mind, think about what is it that you really desire in those key supplier relationships. Look for areas where if you were to have exceptional, like the best possible supplier relationships, the best suppliers out there that you could find, whether that's in crop protection or your lender or your seed person, fertility, machinery, technology, you name it, whoever is supplying things to you, where are the ones that the best will make the most difference to the operation? Then sit down with your key suppliers and have candid conversations with them. Let them know what you are looking for and what you are expecting out of great relationships, that you're wanting more than just somebody that's peddling a product. And challenge them to bring insights and relationships that are going to add value. Let them know that in the key areas of your farm, you're not looking for the cheapest, you're looking for the best. And if they lose your business, it's not because somebody undercut them on price by 50 cents. It's because somebody outdid them on value. Now, another topic for a lot of farmers, especially the past few years, has been, how do I effectively manage and build strong landlord relationships? The question typically comes with some variation of, how do I make sure all my landlords are happy? And the challenge we have in farming is that there really is no actual group that has the same likes and dislikes called landlords. So you can't really say, all you have to do is this. We might read a farm magazine and they give us advice on, how to have happy landlords. But if you have more than one landlord, they all have different interests and motivations and experiences and perspectives. As farmers, we might have landlords that are institutional investors. We might have retired farmers, widows, maybe grandkids that inherited the land. The list goes on. And then to complicate things, inside each of those groups are different personality types, different experiences that they've had, generational differences. All these can complicate the matter even further. All that complication can lead us to just kind of throwing up our hands and saying, well, you know what? The only thing they care about is the almighty dollar. Doesn't matter what I do. Okay, that's a choice. But what I've found is the best strategy is a proactive one, and the best strategy is getting back to the basics when building a landlord strategy. The first thing is understanding where they are. What's important to them? What's their motivations? Worked with a client to develop a survey that he used to interview each of his landlords. You can do that yourself. He found all kinds of things that helped him to change how he communicated with his landlord. If they have more than one tenant, find out the things that they like best from their tenants, so you can use those best practices. Asking key questions in a casual setting where you're finding out what's important to you. What do they really care about? What are the things that frustrate them? Getting that information early so you can do something with it. If you want a list of questions, just email me, dean@modernfarmbusiness.com. I'd be happy to send you some ideas as you go about building a survey that you can use in having a good conversation, a discovery conversation with the landlord. So first is, where are they at? Second is, I have to build a plan from what I learn. Plans can seem kind of overwhelming and that they need to be complicated and convoluted. They don't. The best ones are extremely simple. If you know what's important to your landlord, let's say, for example, they want to expose their grandkids more to the farm. Okay, now you can begin thinking about ways that you can expose the grandkids to the farm. What's one thing that you can do? Maybe the landlord just loves staying connected with the world of agriculture. And you think, well, I could take them with me to one of my winter meetings. It's just an afternoon and they'd have a good time. It'd be a chance for us to bond. Whatever it is, keep it simple, keep it specific, but build a plan based on what you learned. Third, and most important, is execute the plan. Making plans are easy. Unfortunately, life gets in the way. So you have to take those critical few things that you identified in the planning and say, what is it that I'm going to do and where is it going to be on my calendar? For example, take Marty to lunch and stop by the John Deere dealer on June 25th. That is very specific, it's very actionable, and it's not hard. But what we know is if all we put down is do something with Marty this summer, nothing will happen. Life will get in the way. So we have to be specific. We have to use our calendar. We have to make it actionable and simple. So, quick review, supplier relationships. Where's our mindset? Do we have an abundance mindset or a scarcity mindset? Do we know how we can use great suppliers to move our farm forward? And can we communicate with those suppliers what we expect excellence to look like? On the landlord side, have a candid conversation to find out what's really important to them. What are the things that they get frustrated with? And turn that into a plan of a few simple things that you can do to address those things that are unique to them, and then get it on the calendar and execute those few simple things. Thanks for joining me today in covering some tools that you can bring to the farm to improve your supplier and landlord relationships. Be sure if you have any ideas, thoughts, or questions to email me at dean@modernfarmbusiness.com. If you enjoy these episodes of Modern Farm Business Podcasts, give us a like in Apple Podcasts, on iTunes. Tell a friend about us. Let somebody know about it. That's the best way to say thank you. We love hearing feedback, so shoot me an email. I'm excited for next week. We have a special guest, John Miller, the author of best-selling books like QBQ and Outstanding. We're going to be talking about personal accountability and some ideas for really building an outstanding farm. I look forward to you joining me there, and have a great week.